Hi, I'm Jim McMahon here. 20 years after quarterbacking Chicago to the Super Bowl title. What a run. 15-1 in the 1985 regular season. 2 shutouts in the playoffs. And in the big game, we held the Pats to 10 points and 123 yards of total offense. But those are just numbers. What I remember is a cast of characters that only real life could invent. Ditka, Sweetness, Ryan, and the suicidal bunch that ran Buddy's 46 defense. The Fridge, Dent, Hampton, Singletary. It was a great, great team with an undeniable sense of destiny. And it seemed that most of America came along for the ride. It was the season of the Bears, led by the coach, shuffling off to NFL immortality. And I say here and now, it's time to relive it. So let's do it.
Chicago is a town of Capone, Big Bill Thompson, Ernest Hemingway. Chicago's the outrageousness of Rush Street. Chicago is the architectural history of the museums, Michigan Avenue. So, you know, we're big on things that are oversized.
Often Europeans will say, well, New York is New York and Los Angeles is Los Angeles, but Chicago, that is the American city.
Parts of it is a Cubs town. Parts of it, especially now, are a White Sox town. But it seems like whether you're north side or south side, the Bears bring everybody together in the fall.
There was a time when Michael Jordan was rolling off those 6 championships, and the debate was, it might be a Michael Jordan town for now, but it ultimately is a Bears town just because of the kind of sport it is and the kind of people that are here.
This goes back to the start of the NFL with George Halas. And people live here know that. They know about Bronco Nagurski. They know about Red Grange. They know about Gale Sayers, Dick Butkus, and Mike Ditka, and Walter Payton. People know that. It's part of the fabric of this city.
You know, playing here in Chicago, we had 2 winning years in my stint here, but I always had that incentive to show them and respected their intelligence for football.
That intelligence was rooted deep in a glorious past. From the NFL's birth in 1920 until 1963, Chicago won 8 titles. For the next 2 decades, a gloom settled over the city as the Bears rarely contended. Then we woke up and began playing smash-mouth football again. Chicago was back.
Oh, 85 team, best ever, anywhere, anytime. They'd play against any NFL team that ever existed. 85 Bears would have taken them down, not a problem.
I went with my dad. I was 15 years old. We actually got tickets to the Super Bowl. Took a bus down like this the whole way. Went to go see that team. You just knew that they were going to win.
They'll never have a group like that ever again. McMichael, Hampton, Marshall, Otis Wilson, Richard Dent. I probably left out a couple. Very incredible. Duerson, Singletary, out of control. Never again.
It was a personality that represented the city of Chicago. Pretty much the blue-collar mentality. And I think in any professional sports venue, a team will reflect the attitude of a coach. And we had the attitude of a Mike Ditka.
We had a bunch of characters who had a lot of character. That's the way I've always defined our guys. And you don't very seldom get to see that until a team wins.
Ditka was adored for his toughness and his dedication and talent, but it was his sense of humor that became apparent once he was the coach.
Okay, well, I see now that it's almost time for the foregone conclusion that is today's game.
Not gonna be pretty.
Bears.
Bears.
Now, gentlemen, let me ask you this. What if the Bears were all 14 inches tall, you know, about so high? Now, what's your score at today's game?
Mini Bears 24, Giants 14.
What about Ditka? Would he be mini too?
No, he would be full grown.
Oh, then mini Bears 31, Giants 7.
Well, hold on. Then I changed mine too. I thought it was a mini Ditka.
All right, Ditka versus God in a golf match. Now, he's a good golfer.
Ditka.
Ditka.
The next day, I mean, the phone calls I was getting, but apparently Saturday Night Live was getting. And I found out that in Chicago the next day, they were running that skit. They were running it on all the, like, a lot of the radio stations, just playing it continually.
The Bears.
When you pull into the service station and your car is making some funny sounds, guess what? You don't want a guy in a 3-piece suit out there looking at it. You want somebody to roll their sleeves up, get in there, and take care of it. We were the kind of guys that would roll our sleeves up at noon on Sunday, and we would take care of you.
Fensick jumped up the middle and got to Sims.
We were the #1 defense in the NFL for the decade in all the categories. You know, they hold on to that because this is a blue-collar town.
We love that ball club because that ball club said to the establishment, you know what, screw you. We are who we are. You don't like it. You know what? We know deep down inside you do. We are the Midnight Cowboy. We are Brando in The Wild One. We are Santino Corleone in The Godfather. We are De Niro in The Taxi Driver. We're complete iconoclasts.
They were like superheroes. You had the smart guy, the crazy guy, the nutty guy, the party guy, the vicious guy, the big guy, the huge guy, the Hulk guy. So you want to take a team and say, this is a team that best exemplifies every form of what you want on a football team. The '85 Bears were it.
The Junkyard Dogs are here.
Some people probably would say that was cocky, but we had personalities. Everybody had a personality. Everybody thought that they was the guy. And to prove that you was the guy, you have to come in every day, every game, and play like the guy.
The ball is loose, and the Bears have it. This is Wilbur Marshall with the ball. Marshall, if it's still alive, he's in the end zone.
That we swaggered and sometimes swore a little seemed to endear us, not only to Chicago, but much of America. The suits on Madison Avenue deemed us pleasingly counterculture and highly marketable.
I think McMahon was probably the perfect quarterback for America. You know, he was James Dean. He was the rebel. I think we as a people really like somebody who kind of thumbs their nose at authority.
I don't look for trouble. I don't wear rubber watches. And I don't say I do when I don't.
Jim McMahon made more money off the field after the Super Bowl than the 5 preceding quarterbacks. There's some good ones, including Joe Montana, combined. And it really set the stage, I think, for celebrities to market, celebrity football players to market on a major level.
They saw how these guys acted off the field. They wanted to watch them play football. So it just kept growing. I mean, and McMahon alone was, I think, the first pro ball player on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine.
That '85 team was one of the teams that vaulted the NFL's properties into the new marketing age, where individuals were at sometimes as big as the logo they were wearing on the helmet.
Oh yeah, talk about big. How about our defensive tackle, William Perry, who had an affinity for cheeseburgers? At 325 pounds, the Fridge took a bundle to the bank by moonlighting on offense.
Here's a rookie, a guy who, you know, hasn't played in a Pro Bowl, hasn't done anything, really, except run the ball and just be this guy that caught everybody's fancy.
They give him the football and Perry. Touchdown.
He did something like $7 million worth of advertising in that year alone following the Super Bowl.
We are watching a folk hero being made.
He is a nice, easygoing country kid from South Carolina, and he made being fat cool.
Don't worry, I'll clean up.
And as one writer said, you know, this was the greatest use of fat since bacon.
I had fun doing it, you know, running the ball, blocking it, everything. And I had more fun on defense, but that's where I got my notoriety was on offense.
Perry. That one registered 3.8.
We are the Bears, shuffling crew, shuffling on down, doing it for you. We're so bad, we know we're good, blowing your mind like we knew we would.
We heard that song more that year than I care to remember. It was every time they talked about the team, we had to hear that song. It just adds to the mystique of one team, 1 year that had such an effect on the nation.
We were second on the all-time video list to Michael Jackson's Thriller. We got nominated for a Grammy. I mean, how many teams can I say they got nominated for a Grammy and lost to Prince?
I haven't been nominated for a Grammy, and frankly, I'm outraged that I haven't been nominated for a Grammy, if they have.
We loved them because they were defiant, they were arrogant, they were passionate, they were like us. I mean, they were so classically Chicago. There will never be a football team that embodies the heart and soul of Chicago like that ball club did.
You're watching Walter. Walter was
best athlete to play the game ever. Best athlete to play the game ever. He was the complete package.
He can outrun anybody. Peyton's the best. Peyton's the man.
He was the real deal. A gentleman. He just, on his off-the-field accomplishments were great. Walter was the man.
The Fridge got all the highlights, and everybody talked about him, all the highlights on the sports shows. But Walter Payton, the fact that the veteran, you know, had been there and tried and played for some, you know, other teams that weren't successful, but that was his year.
It's week 3, 1985. We're on the road trailing the Vikings 17-9 in the third quarter. I take the snap, and here comes the blitz. Peyton stuffs the linebacker, and I connect with Willie Gault for 70 yards and 6 points. That moment captured the man who gets my vote as the best running back I ever saw. Walter was always there. Heck, he only missed 1 game in 13 seasons. When he retired, he owned NFL rushing records for yards and touchdowns. That championship season was one of his most productive. He ran for more than 1,500 yards. Walter left us in 1999, succumbing to bile duct cancer. He was only 45, but his great heart still beats through the work of his widow, Connie. She leads the Walter and Connie Payton Foundation, dedicated to abused and underprivileged children. Those kids know about sweetness.
Walter was a very giving person. Here's a guy that had a heart for kids, really had a heart for people, and always looking for an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of people less fortunate.
Between 2001 and 2005, Payton's Foundation provided gifts to nearly 70,000 children, spreading holiday joy and sweetness far and wide.
What do you think about this guy? Oh, like a little girl? I think, yeah, either one, actually.
You know, not only in the city of Chicago, but, you know, throughout the country, you know, just everybody knows who he is and how hard he played and what he kind of stood for. You know, anything that his name's attached to is obviously going to be for a good cause, and this is a great cause. It's great to be able to go out and you know, help his foundation and also help a great cause like Toys for Tots.
Last year we did 22,000 children, and they each got 4 gifts, so, you know, figure that out. We did a pretty good job.
Their annual holiday giving program held a toy drive outside of Soldier Field when the Bears hosted the Packers in 2005.
Walter was a special ed major in college and just had, I don't know, it was just something about, you know, his relationship with kids and getting along, and it just felt so right for us, you know, to do what we were doing with the kids.
I even had the Packer fans. I brought them for them.
Right now, I think we have 20-some thousand kids, 20-plus thousand kids to give Christmas toys to this year. It's just a continuation of what Walter did, you know, with the foundation, and we're continuing it. And, you know, we get excited every year to do this.
Connie, with the help of son Jarrett and daughter Brittany, wrote a book that tells the story of sweetness from their view.
You know, Connie, you could have had at least one defensive picture in this book. I lived through there and I didn't see nothing but offense.
Well, obviously, I spent, 7 years playing with him, and great individual. Say, excellent family. I mean, you look at Brittany and Jarrett now and Connie, supporting them, and just like, supporting Walter. We all been together and watched them two grow up like this with mine. So it's like family, so you have to.
While the foundation keeps the sweetness legacy alive in the community, the family name is also alive and well and running for the Tennessee Titans.
Jarrett Payton with his first NFL carry, the son of the late Walter Payton. Brought down by Freeney. Walter Payton would be very proud.
One day, it was just this quick second, I looked at him and I saw Walter sitting there. I mean, his whole demeanor, his face, everything was just Walter. And I snapped. I'm like, oh my goodness. He said, what happened? I said, I just saw your father. He was tickled. He's like, really, Mom, really? And I'm like, yeah.
They'll run to get Payton, and Payton will hit pay dirt. Touchdown, Titans.
I had to really just give thanks to my dad because he was the one who helped me out and everything, because I just felt like I achieved something. And I'm always really thinking about him no matter what I do.
He's got his dad's stubbornness and determination that this is what he wants to do, And, you know, he's going to do it, and he won't be turned away from it.
He was just that person who had nothing from the beginning, but grew up to have probably the world and be able to try to give it to everybody.
He meant so much to Chicago, not just as a businessman, a father, a friend, or a player, but just as someone you see down the street and say, hey, Walter, and they say, hey.
As a player, he made me feel so much more comfortable out there. He brought a sense of confidence to me that only comes from teammates that believe in you.
He would never let you be down. He couldn't stand that. To see you down, he would do something, either put you in a bear hug or squeeze you.
And that's why it's been easy and a privilege for me to continue, you know, the foundation on Walter's behalf and our family behalf. And then in a lot of ways at the beginning, like when Walter first passed, very therapeutic too. We live in a city that's so generous, you know, when it comes to the foundation. And so I feel like I've got this gigantic family of friends and, you know, throughout this whole state. And it's all because of Walter.
Your husband was an inspiration.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Jim McMahon. What? He's the punky QB. What are you talking about? Off the bench, 3 touchdowns against Minnesota. He's the king.
Jimmy Mack, punky QB, man. Anyone who moves New Orleans is awesome in my book, man.
A young man once said, outrageousness is nothing more than a way to wake people up. That young man was me. And even now, as I look back on my 15 years in the NFL with 7 different teams, I think I managed to blend more than a few outrageous moments with a hard-won knowledge of the game. Our championship season 20 years ago was my most productive in the NFL. I threw for a career-high 15 touchdowns, ran for 3 others. I even caught a touchdown pass that year. Injuries shadowed me throughout my career, but when I was healthy enough to start, my teams went 67-30. When I was 6 years old, I poked myself in the right eye with a fork. Although the accident cut my vision down for life, one thing has remained clear since 1985. They loved me in Chicago then, and they still do today. And that means a lot to this kid from Jersey City.
It's fun. I like hitting people. I woke up this morning, couldn't figure out why the hell my neck hurt, and then I realized it was all the headbutts we had yesterday.
Yeah, it still amazes me. I mean, we're as popular now as we ever were back in the mid-'80s, especially back in Chicago. Everywhere I go in this country, they still talk about, you know, the '85 team and the Super Bowl shuffle.
I'm the punky QB known as McMahon. When I hit the turf, I've got no plan. I just throw my body all over the field. I can't dance, but I can throw the field.
I didn't write those verses. I mean, I don't even know who wrote those verses, but from then on, I'm the punky QB, so I don't know where it came from, or it came from the media, but I guess it's a team that the people just have a hard time forgetting because of the personalities that we all have. I think what our fans enjoyed more than anything is watching us just enjoy ourselves.
Rolling out as McMahon, he will walk in.
Because we had a lot of fun. I mean, even though Ditka worked as hard during the day, we had our fun when we could. And after games, you know, Sundays were a release for us. I mean, because we got tired of beating the crap out of each other during the week. It wasn't like these guys now, they never had pads on. We had pads on every day. And going against our defense every day was just made us better.
Perry, what drives through, and following behind is McMahon for the touchdown.
They're very knowledgeable sports fans, and they know who plays hard and who doesn't. And if you play hard for that town, they'll love you forever. And if you win, I mean, you're immortal there.
I still live in Chicago with my wife Nancy and our 4 kids. Each is as much of an individual as I ever was. I mean, it has to be genetic.
Yeah, my oldest son was a Cowboy fan when I was in Minnesota. And then he come down on the field after the game, I got him a picture with Troy. And then my youngest son he'll be 15 in January, so he doesn't really remember a whole lot of football. You know, right now, since all the 85 or 20-year anniversaries happening, that he's getting familiar with, you know, what we did in Chicago. Nancy's a good mom. I mean, she's taught him a lot. We've just been blessed to have good kids. I mean, my youngest daughter, we asked her what she wanted for Christmas this year. She'll be 18 in day after Christmas. And all she wanted to do was go to New Orleans and live in a church and help rebuild the city. You know, so my wife and I are going, you know, who are these kids? I've gone through the work phase of my life. You know, I went through the school, got through my job, and I was lucky. I retired at 37, and now I'm 46 years old, and I'm still doing pretty much whatever I want to do every day. And it's living the great American dream. I mean, where else could an uneducated white man do nothing? I mean, God bless America, huh?
Well, with college tuitions what they are, some days I have to make money. Recently, I did a reality show called Pros vs. Joes. I worked with Dennis Rodman, Jerry Rice, Matt Williams, and Goldberg. What's great about having to wear these glasses, I just close my eyes. I don't do many of these just because of, you know, so much sitting around and waiting, you know. All this time you're here, you film about 10 minutes, so. Too much hurry up and wait for me.
Yeah. This is too much work, man. Once we're done with this, we're headed over to.
I've known all these guys for a long time, and they're great at what they did in their sports, and it's just good hanging around them.
Got all your rituals down, your pregame stuff. This is me right here.
Yeah, I have seen you at game time now. I know the look, you know what I'm saying? I can tell when you're ready to go.
They're gonna make you take it out of your nose? No, tomorrow. Today's good.
It's just, you know, the locker room scenes are always the best. Just sitting around talking about old times, and I'm not gonna be doing this for a living, I hope. All right, you guys back in Chicago. I'll see you soon. Or maybe not, depending on how long I'll be here. It's just taking forever. I'll talk to you soon, guys. We'll see you.
Bears. It's just not going to happen. It's just, it can't.
Amen, brother.
They were partiers, they were nuts, and they just crushed people.
Everybody knows them, everybody sees them, you recognize them if you see them, you know, at the stores or the bars or whatever, hear them on the radio.
When Steve McMichael signed with Chicago as a free agent in 1981, after an uneventful rookie season with the Patriots, no one was expecting a lot from him, except for Steve himself. For the next 14 years, McMichael chased quarterbacks, making 95 sacks and 2 trips to the Pro Bowl. Steady, mean, and persistent, best describe his nature. Although he's originally from Houston, Steve calls the Windy City his hometown. As a local radio personality, he's one of the most popular Bears. The people of Chicago love him, especially when he's out on the town.
Steve McMichael was crazier than McMahon. You never know what he would do.
Oh, Steve, yeah, he is a beauty. I love Steve. We'd be playing the offense, and he'd say, "What's the matter? You afraid to come out of the huddle and all this?" And he'd make those offensive guys so mad, and the coaches all pissed off at him.
I'm not some big-headed jock like some quarterbacks. Some quarterbacks I've known, not on this team, but on other teams that I used to have bounties on. Yeah, and if you see Marino or Joe Montana out on the street, hit him in the head with a bottle, it's $2 grand.
Rightly nicknamed Mongo, after the Alex Karras character who knocked out a horse in the movie Blazing Saddles, Steve has been doing a radio show since his pro wrestling career was cut short by blood clots.
Let's dump the Rex Grossman project, throw in Lance Briggs because he's under a contract new deal next year. They're going to be paying him a ton of money, and let's bring back McNabb from Philadelphia and let him quarterback Chicago to 4 NFC championships and 4 Super Bowl victories.
It sounds like you play fantasy football and Donovan McNabb is your quarterback, sir.
I love it. I love entertaining them. That's what that special thing about that 85 team. We weren't just football players. We were entertainers.
That last game when he threw that last interception that beat him, the fans booed him off the field. I think a Chicago native would like to come back here and play quarterback. I bet you he grew up as a little kid dreaming about being the starting quarterback for the Bears at Soldier Field.
Hell with the radio show. I'm with my people. Look, span out over the crowd. Now that's family there. I'm at a reunion. Every time I go out, it feels like a reunion, a family reunion, man.
What's up, big guy?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing, brother?
All right. Sophia Morgan.
12 to 3 this week.
Crown Royal, right?
Right on. You know, when you go out in the public and you're having a good time, it kind of translates over to the football team, and you can see guys out there having fun. And that's what the game is all about. That's when you get good.
And Dickerson is hit behind the line of scrimmage by Steve McMichael, and the Rams will have to punt.
I'll be here till 10 and tip your waitresses. My personality fit in that locker room. The thing I miss most about playing football, and I'm a sarcastic, humorous guy. I try to get that spin, kind of like a sitcom. That's why they started calling me not Mongo, but Ming the Merciless. Mercilessly just screwing, stabbing in at the weakest little button they got. And once everybody starts laughing about that, they get over their little insecurity and become a better player. It takes a head coach, too, Mike Ditka, to let that personality take hold on the team and start becoming entertainers. It was a good release, man, from all the pressure of that season.
3rd down and 10. The blitz again, and he is buried. McMichael, number 76.
We counted on all 11 guys doing their job every play. So you didn't have to go outside of your responsibility to try to make a big play. It just came to you. And one time or another, I was an all-pro Hampton and Dent. That's 3 guys on the line of scrimmage. We had Otis Wilson, Wilbur Marshall, and Mike Singletary, all 3 all-pros at linebacker, and Gary Finsick and Todd Bell, and then Dave Durson was all-pro at our 2 safeties. That's a lot of all-pros on the defense, isn't it? That's why we were good.
The 2005 conversation always goes back 20 years.
You guys better realize the power of the Chicago 20-year Bears, baby. You better get it right now. People love that team, and rightfully so.
For speed, we had a we had an offense. And of course, our defense couldn't be beat. Defense, perfect. But we had a great offensive line. Absolutely great offensive line and a great receiving core with, Olympic speed.
Every championship team needs a Willie Gault. In 1985, Week 4, we were trailing the Redskins 10-0 when Willie takes a kickoff, turns on the burners, and flies 99 yards into the end zone. After that lift from Gault, we never looked back, winning 45-10. During his 5 years as a Bear, he made 27 touchdown receptions. In Super Bowl 20, we connected 4 times for 129 yards. These days, Willie is still in constant motion, on the track, in business, and on the set where he works as an actor and producer in a fast-lane town as tough in its own way as Chicago.
Hey, Rashad. Hey, look at me, man. Don't buy into that trick. You gotta be cool. Don't go for the okie doke.
Well, for me, I grew up watching Jim and other people make the transition very smoothly. And I was really intrigued by the industry. It's a very interesting industry. It gives an opportunity to say a lot. And it's an exciting industry if you can, find work. So for me, it's more like producing your own things, and I'm excited about this production.
You're laughing, Mike. Why are you laughing? Well, he said if you can find work. I always said that you're never an actor until you're working.
Exactly.
But the great thing about Willie is that he is on the production side. And when you're on the production side, you know the business. And you can have a lot of control, and you can be very creative and do things that you really want to do.
So this first we'll do that, but then we don't have to do it on the reverse. We don't have to do it so we can let Jim Brown go, right?
We don't need him, we need Barbie and Joe.
Right.
Right, because on this, everything's shooting this way, right?
So I admire him as a young man, understanding the value of being on the other side of the camera. Yet he is beautiful on this side of the camera.
Willie's been doing his thing in L.A. for more than a decade. He's appeared on The West Wing and The Pretender. Right now, Hollywood, as we call him, is producing a TV pilot that stars Judd Nelson and Jim Brown.
This is a really steamy scene, so it's really important for the show. It's awesome. It's great being, a producer, putting something together, seeing a project go and letting the director go and do her thing, or his thing. It's a really great show.
And action.
Willie is nothing if not prepared.
You know, I think he definitely is long-suffering, and he worries about all those details, and that's very important. I think maybe what Willie brings is the precision of running a pass route. You know what I mean? And I think that there are some things that can apply to athletics and entertainment, acting certainly. You got to be able to rehearse, to practice, to do it over and over again. And then you have to be able to do it right when the cameras are rolling.
Yeah, here comes Shannon. Yeah. Can you show her what you want her to do in the shot, Kamala?
Yes, I will. It's just walking.
In acting, you do a movie and you have a great relationship with your acting peers. But it's the same way in football. The year we won this championship, you know, with the Bears, it was a magical year, and those relationships just go on forever.
Right. Oh, I love it! Willie, don't forget it. If he gets behind you, it's over.
I was the fastest man on the field at all times. I worked hard to make sure of that. And I'll have 2 or 3 opportunities I got to take advantage of. If you don't catch it, you may not get another one. So you have to try to catch the first one, then the coach is going to want to call more. Mike Ditka, sometime he'd come and say, Will, are you ready? I go, I'm always ready, Coach.
McMahon with good play action, going for the bomb from his own end zone to Galt. They won't catch him except by the shirt tail.
I think because I was in Chicago at the time, in Chicago we had national attention when we won the Super Bowl. It definitely gave me the notoriety that I needed to pursue my other career.
When he's not acting or producing, Willie's managing a company called International Business Solutions. And when he's not wearing his corporate hat, he's in track shoes, trying to stay a step ahead by training with Olympic gold medalist Maurice Greene.
I run track every day. There's no off days in track. I still run in master meets. When I say master meets, I run in basically any meet. I run usually against guys who are 20 years my junior, and most of the time I beat them.
Maurice Willie said he's going to beat you.
No, I didn't say that.
Did you say that?
No, I didn't say that.
Talking all kinds of smack in front of the camera.
No, Willie always say that. Maurice, you know I never say that. And sometimes I beat him, most of the time I don't. But I love running. It's one of the things that I get the most joy out of because no one can control it. I can only control it, me running, how fast or whatever. And I've broken several records for my age.
Arms, Nick. Charlie!
I don't want to sit back when I'm 60 or 70 and go, well, I wish I had tried that when I was younger or when I was able to, when I was healthy enough to do it. Just want to be able to try things that I like and not, not go too far with it, but, understand what my abilities are and go for it.
My former teammate, Richard Dent, once said of Todd Bell, he was a warrior. He was a big hitter. He was big in a lot of ways. If you wanted a hardcore safety, he was it. In 1984, after we won our first division title, Bell was due for a new contract. He wanted more money. But this was before free agency, and the Bears management said no thanks. So Todd sat out our championship season. Here's the story of one of 1985's lost Bears.
That 85 year, if we had Todd Bell, God almighty, Todd Bell played the game the way I wanted to play it.
On 3rd down, Theismann again, big rush on him, gets it away. Washington is really clobbered.
Todd Bell was one of the most feared hitters and really the designer defensive back for Buddy Ryan's scheme. He was everything that people feared about that defense.
Kubiak, here's a blitz, and Kubiak is wrapped at the 30, and there could be a holding call against the Broncos.
My gosh, was he a weapon. I mean, he was an intergalactic missile, for heaven's sakes.
Here they come, and Todd Bell getting punted from behind.
I had to step in the corner and play right corner. And Lord blessed me to do it. So I'm just grateful that we have that type of knit family on the defense.
That 46 defense throwing safety was Todd Bell's position. He was perfect. He was a prototype for that. And it was very unfortunate the year that he held out. We won the Super Bowl, and it hurt him a lot. And I really hate he didn't get an opportunity to share that with us because he was such a big part of us getting there.
We all realized that one of the better players of all of us wasn't there. It was easy for him to lay out his priorities and to stick to them. And he lived it every day. He respected people around him. He respected himself to the point where, if you have to give something up for a greater cause, you do that.
He regretted missing the Super Bowl, but he was able to let it go.
He told me, he said, you make decisions in life, you stick by them. Some are right, some are wrong, some are good, some are bad. You learn from them and you go on.
Bell returned to the Bears in 1986 by signing a 3-year, $1.3 million contract, which was actually more than he had originally demanded. And a year later, he reclaimed his starting job at safety. He played another season for the Eagles under Buddy Ryan. After Todd retired, he joined the Office of Minority Affairs at his alma mater, Ohio State. He also did youth volunteer work and coached at various high schools in Columbus.
To see somebody who's played professionally, who's done all those other things, represented in such a positive way, you know, it was really a benefit to all our kids.
This was a guy who was truly a great athlete, but never told anybody about it, to the point that the kids that were in his Sunday school class didn't know that Mr. Todd, as they referred to him, had done all the things that he'd done.
Todd played for Woody Hayes, and most of us who had the opportunity to play for Woody Hayes, we learned one thing for sure, and that is you pay forward. And I know that Todd Bell got that message because he did all kind of things in the community.
Then, with a haunting suddenness, Todd joined Sweetness, much too soon.
Sad news tonight from Ohio State about the sudden death of a former star football player. Todd Bell suffered an apparent heart attack today, driving to a gym in Reynoldsburg and crashed into a house.
I've really just been able to start looking at pictures of Todd because every picture, he was so full of life. And I have to admit, I took some things for granted. It's, he is sorely missed.
Todd's widow, Daphne, spends much of her time spreading the word on early detection of heart disease in Todd's memory.
I was in so much pain that I asked myself, where can I put this pain to make it worthwhile so that Todd's dying won't be in vain? I approached you guys after my husband, Todd Bell's sudden heart attack, and we found out that he had triple coronary heart disease. And the key is, one of the main reasons that I believe he's not here today, because he didn't know his family history. Several cardiologists are involved with us, going to the churches with me, discussing briefly what heart disease is, what you can do to prevent it, starting with high blood pressure, diabetes, and then working up to heart disease.
It's so important, and it's a privilege to be a part of this program because we really do have the opportunity to improve people's lives by making them aware of their family history and having them come in and get checked out, take advantage of the resources that we have in terms of early detection and hopefully prevention of an acute event.
I know this is what he wants to do. I know he would want me to do this because if one person through this campaign will go to the doctor, it's worth it all. It's worth it all.
While Daphne works in the medical community, Todd's mission at Ohio State continues. The resource center he helped to create is making steps to ensure his legacy will be felt for years to come.
So many times we look at professional sports in the way of just on the field. He was a warrior off the field. And so for me to continue that legacy aspect of looking for the next leadership and leaders in African-American males is really what the center is going to be based on. And so when we look at Gene Smith, who was the first African-American AD for Ohio State, how do we find more of those? And the center is going to build those collaborative efforts with the athletic department to make sure that these guys know that academics is first, then you play ball second.
It wasn't just a job for Todd. It was like a lifestyle. So for them to name this center after Todd lets me know how well respected he was, number one, and how much he was appreciated. Because Todd didn't know that his work was that appreciated, so it's a great thing.
If you really knew Todd, he just got the work done and moved on to the next day. And so people were laughing. They said, now, you know Todd is not wouldn't want his name on that building, on the center.
On the letterhead, on the business card.
And I said, well, guess what? He doesn't have a vote on this.
No, he doesn't.
So Daphne's okay with it, I'm okay with it. So here we are.
He enjoyed the sport, don't get me wrong. Todd loved playing professional sports. He loved it, but he always kept it in perspective. That's what I liked about him. He kept it in perspective. Did he miss it when his career came to an end? Oh yeah, but as time went on, he found this is what I believe Todd's real purpose was. Helping children, reaching out to them, and having an impact and changing their lives to help them become accomplished adults. Football was the avenue to get Todd to his real purpose. So, and I think he fulfilled his purpose. I think he had a lot more to do, but he did a lot in his 46 years. He did a lot.
It happened quick and fast. It didn't last long, but it's still something you remember. It's 20 years ago, and that's something you hold on to, and that's why we all come here every week.
It was still the best time I've ever had in my life.
The 85 Bears.
And all of the people that we met from Chicago, every now and then we'll end up meeting someplace and stuff. They all say the same thing. Still was the best time they've ever had in their life.
For much of the 1986 season, it seemed as if nothing would stand in our way. The defense, if anything, was better than it was during the championship season. They set an NFL record for fewest points allowed in a 16-game season, and this without Buddy Ryan, who had gone on to become head coach of Philadelphia. In late November against Green Bay, I was knocked out for the rest of the season. Although we went 37-10 in the 3 years after our Super Bowl victory, we never made it back to the big one. Much of the magic from that championship season was gone. It was one and done for that group in Chicago.
In the mid-'80s, America was still this go-go nation. And the Bears were just this joyful thing that everybody really enjoyed in the middle of the winter. But then...
We'll throttle down to 65%.
Not much more than 24 hours later, the space shuttle blew up, the Challenger. And that effectively lowered the curtain on this joy. And the Bears were one of the only teams, Super Bowl teams, not to go to the White House.
And not to link them in any way, linking a sports situation to that, but it seemed that their fortunes nosed over right about the time that the Challenger was going down.
There's a belief not only in Chicago, but you talk to football experts everywhere, that may have been, for a single season, for 19 weeks, the greatest team of all time.
The tight end Gideon intercepted by Richardson.
The great disappointment of the '85 Bears is that they only won the one Super Bowl.
Although we won our last 7 games to finish 1986 at 14-2, something was missing.
It just came down to losing a few pieces of the puzzle, and when that happened, we just lost our momentum.
The Bears were even stingier under new defensive coordinator Vince Tobin, giving up only 12 points a game in the regular season. In spite of that excellent showing, a big element of the chemistry that had driven us to the Super Bowl had gone on to Philadelphia.
I had several offers to coach in the NFL and to get it the way I wanted it. I was going to be in charge of personnel and everything else, and they gave me the full deal, so I took it.
Buddy wanted his own team. Any man wants his own team. If you're a coach, you're objected to be a head coach.
He just blew it. Man, we just blew a great opportunity. We really wanted to go back to the Super Bowl. It just didn't happen.
What do you say about the year of the Chicago Bears? They had distractions, they had all kinds of problems, and now what's been a tumultuous season for Chicago switches over to what will probably be as tumultuous an off-season.
As Ditka has said, I thought we had just gotten on the merry-go-round, we'd grab the brass ring, and we were going to be there forever. And that merry-go-round stopped. They should have won 2, maybe 3 Super Bowls, maybe 4. Who knows? It was a dynasty that couldn't hold on.
There's never been another team in Chicago or other cities that did it the way we did it. If that had happened, this would be a footnote. No one would be talking about it. But the way this took place, the way it gripped the nation, it's an anomaly.
They're waiting for that next generation to come up. I think every one of those guys would like to see a Bears team win the Super Bowl.
And you see these guys today. I was just at a charity function in August, and a lot of the '85 Bears were there. Half of them got half of a screw loose, and that's what makes them so fantastic.
I don't know where these guys came from. They're wild. They're funny. I mean, they're out there.
There are a lot of good teams out there. There are a lot of good championship teams, but the ones that capture your imagination, that stay with you years and decades later, are the ones that are as compelling off the field as they are on the field, and that was the 1985 Chicago Bears.
Still, to this day, I run into guys like Phil Simms and Theismann, and they all say, I'm glad I survived your defense. But the thing that you really hang your hat on is the fact you were able to survive playing against the Chicago Bears We got somebody's attention.
Nothing lasts forever. So you sit there, you enjoy it while you're enjoying it, and then after a while you just put it behind you, and then you just keep on going because life is a long race.
Chicago, with their sports teams, it's almost like, well, everybody else is that slow-burning coal or something. We're like magnesium. We tend to like ignite in a super white-hot heat and then burn out. But that time that it's burning, it's the hottest thing on the planet.
At a team reunion to commemorate our Super Bowl victory, Mike Ditka asked, "We had fun, didn't we?" Yeah, Mike, we did have fun, even though you tried to put the clamps on us sometimes. But with all the passage of time, I think we all realized just how special we were. On behalf of all my teammates from that near-perfect year, I'm Jim McMahon, thanking all of you for watching.